Hi class, it's Mrs. Christian again, and now we're going to talk about your still life composition. So a lot of you are finishing up the practice work, the sketchbook assignments, and starting to think about what am I going to use for my still life. So I've got a couple options here, and I'm going to load some pictures on in case you can't take your own. But you're going to want to take a picture of your arrangement in case it gets bumped or especially for grading, because then I can see it and I can compare it to your drawing. So here I've set up kind of a makeshift photo booth in here, and I've just been playing around with different objects from around my house. So this is a little bit of rope, a rock, some sort of weird bark thing that I found in some potpourri. You can also use things like fruit, plants, rocks work really well. Pretty much anything that has some texture to it. So if you look closely, you're going to see I chose things that were bumpy and had little crevices and cracks. The rope has some nice texture to it, and even the rock. And then you want to take the picture on a very neutral background. For this, all I did was take a big piece of paper and tape it to the top of my Amazon box here. And then I put it down to the bottom so that it creates a curve so I don't see a line in the back. But if you just have a tabletop, that's fine too. This is just a nice little photo setup. If you have the ability to do it, great. And then I have a little desk lamp. And the reason why I'm using a desk lamp is see the shadows that it's creating, and then the highlights that it's creating. In your drawing, I want you to focus on creating some of these really, really deep, dark shadows, and then some of the really light highlights and all the midtones in between. So if your drawing ends up kind of looking all very much the same value, then you're going to want to revisit that and add in some really dark areas. Like if I point to it underneath the rock here, this is going to be really, really dark. Underneath this piece of bark, also really, really, really dark. And then our highlights are going to be where the light is hitting. So you'll see lighter areas, you see shadows reflecting on your forms. I would stay away from anything clear or transparent or really shiny, because that's really more of a level 2 type of a drawing that takes a little bit more technique to get those transparent objects to look transparent. You could use pretty much anything you can find around the house. I mean, if I wanted to, I could use my Snapple bottle, a cork. I found some, like I said, some weird potpourri in a container, wood. Anything that has something that you can get some different range of values in. And then remember, when you're on your final drawing, you're going to want to use some of those different pencils that we talked about. So here's my set that I keep at home. I've had this for a really long time, actually since college. So you can see I have a range of everything from all the B's to the H's. Remember, H's are hard. They're going to make really light lines. B's are going to be your softer lead, and that's going to give you better blending. I also have these here, which are, they are woodless pencils. And so you can pick these up at Walmart, but there's no wood. So it's just straight graphite. These are wonderful for shading because you can use every bit of it. Even if it breaks, you can use the bits and pieces of it. Some of you checked out an ebony pencil. This is also great for shading. I don't know, I've got my Sharpie in here, but also blending stumps are great. And then Q-tips if you're in a pinch and you don't have a blending stump. And then hopefully you remembered to bring your eraser, or you have some kind of eraser at home. For your final, I do not want you to use the mechanical pencil. These are great for technical drawings. They're great for really light lines, but if you watch my last video, they do scar the paper, and it's going to make it harder for you to correct yourself and make changes, which you will anticipate doing, you know, with your final drawing. You're going to have to make changes. You're going to have to go in and erase and probably add and things like that. I also keep just some standard pencils. I have a favorite, my rainbow pencils. I have a pack of them, and when I'm done with one, I start a new one up. So these work great too. If that's all you have, that's all that's all you have. Use that. So hopefully this helps in setting up your still life. These little cuties, if you have these in the house, these have great texture. Check that out. I mean, that's some pretty nice texture that you can be able to draw. And then, oops, didn't grab that. My banana is turning a little brown, but here it actually kind of creates some really cool designs in the banana. So bananas can be something that work really well for this drawing. So remember, 3 objects, try to overlap some of them, stack them up next to each other. Try to find some that maybe have some height that you can mix in. So in this case, I might, mix in a pine cone. Whoops, pine cone here. If you feel like 3 objects is not enough for you, by all means, add as many more as you want. Just remember that we want the drawing to fill most of the page. So if I was going to take this picture, I'd really want to get close to it and put it about there and then take the picture so that it's filling most of my page versus all that white space and my tiny little shapes. I want to see all the nooks and crannies down in there. I want to see all the texture on here and on the rock. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to load, like I said, I'm going to load the pictures I've taken. If you want to use one of those arrangements, by all means, go ahead. If you feel like you've got a better idea and you want to go with something else, I've seen some really cool ones with headphones and your cell phone and candy. So get creative. Create an arrangement with 3 objects, some of them overlapping, some with textures. And then if you have questions, please email me and I will try my best to help you out. All right, have a good night.